Thanks for joining us tonight on Nigeria Tonight. I am Benga Aborowa. We begin our coverage with the denial of the Nigerian Labour Congress that it has entered into any agreement with the federal government to call off its planned indefinite strike slated to commence on Tuesday next week. The denial came after the Director of Press, Ministry of Labour and Employment, Olajide Oshundu, allegedly announced that the organised labour had reached an agreement with the government to suspend the proposed strike. NLC then, in a statement issued by its Head of Information and Public Affairs, Benson Upap, insisted that there was no agreement whatsoever and that the government has not invited the union or given any date to meet with the union over the proposed strike. The NLC is demanding that the government provide palliatives to cushion the effect of the removal of subsidy on petrol before it can suspend the planned strike. Still on the strike, the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers says it will join the indefinite strike announced by the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress. In a statement issued earlier today, the body disclosed that its members will comply with the directives given by the organised labour because they find it disturbing and unfortunate that the federal government is insensitive to the pain Nigerians are experiencing due to the policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The party accused President Tinubu of failing to provide any accompanying socio-economic policies to ameliorate and cushion the immediate effects and impact those difficult, harsh policies are having on the citizens. The oil industry union noted that leaders in its 4 zonal councils have been ordered to mobilize NUPING members to shut down services from Tuesday next week. Now, to discuss the impact of this impending indefinite industrial strike on Nigeria, we're joined by a chartered accountant, Mr. Akin Fatuke, who joins us from Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Fatuke, and thanks for joining us on Nigeria Tonight.
A very well welcome, Bunga, and good evening in Nigeria and friends of Nigeria who are spread across the globe. Nice to be here.
It's nice to have you, Mr. Fatuke. Let's get straight to it. If no intervention works between now and Tuesday next week, and the organised labour carries out the total shutdown, it is threatened. How will that affect the country's economy and investor confidence, considering that the president recently attracted some investment pledges from international investors?
Very drastic, very catastrophic, very expensive. In economic terms, a total shutdown, if it comes to be, I hope, I pray, it doesn't have to come to be as usual when we get to cliff hanger edges like that. The reason kind of prevail, except that this time around we are talking of trillions upon trillions of US dollars lost. Naira converted to dollar at prevailing exchange rate means trillions that will be lost in employment, in PMI, Purchasing Managers Index, in unemployment that is going to be catastrophic, in inflation that will now jam with the unemployment to give what at the end of the day you call a poverty-stricken. You just read out, I had it, that Nigeria was going to be maybe about the second in Africa, 6th in the world in terms of crime. Those are some of the things you begin to now look at. People are on edge. You cannot quantify this strike and the protests now being taken by people who are very, very angry and hungry for good reasons and for good cause. That will begin to then tell you, oh, it's not going to happen. For the investors, again, they are going to be shaking in between and want to ask themselves the questions. For how long will the government continue to do what they need to do? In other words, The bottom line is recovery from it, even eventually will now come around the table, will take more than 6 months, just to give you an idea, more than 6 months to begin to come back to square -1, not square zero,
okay.
square -1.
Now, Mr. Aki Fatuke, I mean, it's not like the government is folding into arms or not doing anything. Mr. President did address the Nigerian populace and announced a string of palliative measures. Are those demands, are those measures not for you? And what do you make of the demands outlined by the NLC and and this impending shutdown? You did talk that, you did just mention that the consequences would be drastic. What fiscal measures do you think the Nigerian government should take to mitigate the impact of the subsidy and, address these concerns with the little time we'll have before Tuesday?
Being our utmost full faith, pure and simple. Say the truth the way the truth should be said, and live by that truth. Live by example. You cannot continue almost since August the 2nd, 2 months, so 120 days for you to have done something. Is that saying that the government has not done something? No. Just like the Debunks of France, it's been too little. It's coming about too late. Amongst all the retinue of demands, I am in support of government accelerating and doing something and getting to the truth part. Number one, in the public service, can we have tax holidays given to these people? This is not the time in any of the states that you want to now be asking to be raking up levies in any way. Thirdly, can we decide, like Victor Osifu, if I rightly heard him say, the fact that looking for minimum wage may not be what they are going to be asking for, because we're talking of trillions upon trillions, which will be a long term. Can we now be looking at the palliatives and come out concretely and put a timeline all down subnationals to the local government, to religious leaders, to individuals like you, like me, to making sure that, look, we move out and then try to do something. Tax rates, tax holidays, the CNG that have been promised, 11,000 vehicles, when will it come? When are we going to have the first tranche? Why are we not having them? Or actually just say, raise your hand and say, Nigeria is bankrupt. We are broke. Everybody knows Nigeria is broke. But Nigeria cannot continue to say we are bankrupt and we are broke. And we see you being rotund. You're not cutting down costs of governance. We meet and continue to meet without any concrete plans. It should go beyond the rhetorics. Luckily, the CBN governor has just come in. Thank God. Can we have a CBN board? Can we begin to see movement? Can we begin to see movement over motion in respect of Mr. President, your household, Mr. Governors, your household, the National Assembly members? Put something down on the table. These are some of the things that needs to be done.
Mr. Fatuke, as we begin to wind down on this interview, beyond the immediate consequences, what long-term repercussions could the shutdown have on Nigeria's economic stability? And is this the final, are there no other alternatives for Labour to take? Because, it would also harm the people they intend to protect, because they're those that depend on a daily wage for their survival. Is there no other way Labour could press their demands without the total shutdown of the Nigerian economy?
Ordinarily, in negotiation, in appeal, no matter how, the first thing is to bury my fidei, utmost good faith. Trust is gone out of the wheel. I am not seeing a coordination between the presidency, the National Assembly, and I know a lot of motion in, but no movement. Is there any other thing that Labour can take for now? Yes. What Labour wants to hear are concrete roadmaps, Okay, Port Harcourt refinery is going to come up in December. Do we trust? Dangote refinery ought to have taken place. We are now beginning to hear stories. Must we continue to hear stories? Can somebody come out and communicate with us? And while communicating, it has to be done by way of example. I am aware that government on a long-term plan, because of its brokenness, and when I say broken, I mean government is broke. Government is damn broke. Come out, raise your hand, apologize, begin to catch things that you need to catch, begin to live those examples yourselves, and then begin to look at real facts. The only thing I know will not happen. The only thing I know will not happen is go back to status quo fellows to now then say we are going to now then go away with the subsidies. We can't go away with the subsidies.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akin Fatu-Care. As always a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for your insights and your contribution. Thank you.